was the power plant back in the day. That was tough, man. They beat the shit out of you, and they love to beat the shit out of you.
Man, it's hard for me to because, like, the old school mentality was always like, well, if you're a big guy, you kinda just stay in the ring and let people work around you. That was always,
Sure.
like, what they said, but they're in there making you, like, do drop downs
Oh
and
yeah.
all that kinda to get ready.
Yeah, I mean, you started out like doing 50 squats, and then Sarge, who was like the head guy, he would sit there with a deck of cards, and if it was black, you had to do push-ups. If it was red, you had to do squats. You're just like, Jesus, and it would kill you. And we had a lot of tough guys, a lot of big dudes, a lot of UFC guys get in there and come in there and like just break down and couldn't make it through the first day. Big dudes like, stop it, please don't hurt me anymore. Whatever you want, just leave me alone. Sarge jumping up on him like, you piece of shit. The thing that Sarge used to like to do is pretend like he'd make you were, they had a line on their back and pretend like they were a cockroach. And, oh, please, please, no more, no more. And like, we all thought it was funny as shit, but then, think, man, this poor guy is the king of his city, and he's coming down here for this tryout. We're sitting in the back close to a casket as we possibly can. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And Jody Hamlin would be like, hey, if you guys can get it down to there's no one coming back on Friday, we'll give you the day off. And it's like, okay, yeah. And the deal was you couldn't like cut him up or punch him or get him stitches or anything. But everything else was pretty much free game. And man, we would do those squats, and those guys would get all that lactic acid in their legs, and they were done.
So I know that Medusa was helping to train at the power plant, quite a bit. Did you spend much time around her? What was she like?
I did not, but I know that the Macho Mona, who was I forget, Molly Holly was there where I was there, and she's great. So she was tough too, man. She took a beating. She did like everything else all the other guys did. Asia was there, who she was tough. I mean, Paul Orndorff was there, and he did not really give a shit about anybody, anything. He was there to like make you cry, and he did. George Gonzalez was supposed to be the Yeti, and he came in, and then he had some health issues and left. And I believe at one time the idea was that they wanted to have that battle royal as the big payoff with like the three giants in three different rings.
Sure.
In fact, I think there's some T-shirts around that for that never really like came to fruition. But when George went back to, I believe, Columbia, they had a spot, and they were just like, "Hey, congratulations! You've been promoted to the second giant." So I was like, "All right, whatever." And I just got to the pay per view, and it was still really like up in the air what was going on. And they were just like, "Go down there." Real story is, I went to give him a back bear hug.
You're right.
I got excited, so yeah. I take full responsibility for it. Yes, I was, the ring bounces, and yes, it was bad. But it
You
was
know,
supposed to be a double bear hug, and never get into a double bear hug. I remember like Arn Anderson told me that was the drizzling shits, and Dusty Rhodes was like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm just like, hey, thanks. It is what it is, and the whole thing. You know, tell everyone if it wasn't for the Yeti, there would be no NWO. There would be no what do they call it in the WWE? The realities one where they did all the more reality where they broke the fourth wall. I mean that's all was because the Yeti was so bad. That was Scott Norton. He was a great guy, and I really appreciated all the work he did in Japan. I think that as a member of the NWO, he was not given the credit really that he did, always traveling over to Japan and getting all that like t-shirt business over there in NWO Japan. I think NWO Japan paid for a lot of bills over here in NWO America of the NWO partying and driving around in limos all night. So people don't think about it, but the t-shirts that they sold back in the day, I mean, just that business alone was incredible. After all this stuff went through, I went to Japan, did the Yeti gimmick, all this stuff. They were like, hey, whatever kind of, we're going to come up with a really cool gimmick for you. And then the really cool gimmick they came up for me was pretty much like a complete total knockoff of Kane, but I was neon green instead of red and black. I was neon green and black. And they spent all this money on a costume. Who's the lady that does the WWE?
Oh gosh, I know exactly
Just
who you
retired.
know.
She's
Yes,
great.
yes,
But I
everybody.
was like one of the first guys she ever did. She did this intricate design, and it has all this like fire. It's green, neon green fire, and I look like the swamp thing instead of the fire thing. I've been out of WCW for I say 5 or 6 years, and they called me up, and Vince Russo was having he was doing like this religious church show that was at a really big church up in North Georgia. They had some big guy come in there, and he bailed out, and they needed a big guy to come up there. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll go up there and do it. And the whole thing was like the minister of the church came out and wrestled, and I like beat him up, and then he came out at the end and wins. And then they do a huge testimony, and everyone comes into the ring and finds God. Well, so Jeff Jarrett came out and literally tatered me with a guitar. And then I go and I'm having a pretty good match with the Reverend, and he decides he wants to go to the top rope and like give me the double axe handle off the top. Goes to the top rope, gives me the double axe handle, and blows his knee out.
Oh no.
And then the guy's like, man, I can't move. And I'm thinking, look, you got to win because I can't win because I'm like evil and we're in a church and you have to do a testimony and get all these guys in here. It's just not going to work out. So, like, you know, pick him up and fall down into a small package and pull him on top of me. And I don't know who was more surprised, the referee or this guy, the reverend guy that fell on top of me, but they gave me the 3 count. And then I was like, all right, we got to get into the testimony. But I was like, man, I cannot have this guy not. And he was a big cat too. He's like 245. And it was like, oh,
And you hoisted him up and got him into
I
the
literally
small
just got him
package.
like on his knees and sort of fell over him into the worst small package. It wasn't a very small package either. So
My goodness. What
yeah, I have to
for
get
you?
there, right? I cannot, have evil win over the reverend in the church.